All right, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, and hope everybody's staying safe and things are going well for all of you. We're going to talk about All Orders Web today. For anybody that's not familiar with All Orders Web, this is a little bit different than order time. If you've heard about order time is the entire All Orders system, but in the cloud, online, all through a web interface. What All Orders Web is, and All Orders Web has been around for quite a while, since before order time, is kind of like an online portal, we like to call it. It's a place where either your internal staff or sales reps, or even more so your customers, can log in, and they're able to do some self-service for themselves. If your sales reps are on the road, if you have staff on the road, or they just want a place online where they can do a couple of things. It's got a limited subset of what the All Order system has in it, mainly focused around the sales side of things. So being able to look up items and what you have in stock, add them to a cart, so to speak, being able to place an order or a quote, and for customers also to look up their history, their order history, their shipment history, things like that. You can give them, certain powers to be able to do things such as edit orders or quotes, things like that. And so we'll just go over some of the different areas that All Orders Web covers, so you can have a little bit of a better idea of what it has to offer. And the copy of All Orders Web I'm actually in right now. If we go to numbercruncher.com and we click on the All Orders section and we go to Features, it opens up this side navigation. And if you scroll down to where we've got All Orders Mobile and All Orders Web, if I click on All Orders Web and I click on Try It, that will actually bring us directly to the login page for that. We'll actually pre-fill in for you the login information, so you don't have to guess at what it is, and that will bring you directly into the All Orders Web interface. So you can go in there at any point and try out some of the things I'm doing today and mess around a little bit and just see what it's all about. Now, one of the things I want to make clear up front is that we understand that with a system that's online, like All Orders Web, where you're going to have customers taking a look at it and browsing around, there's going to be some customization that pretty much is going to have to get done. Certainly, you'll probably want your logo in there, maybe some of the colors, things like that. There's typically at least a few things where we try to keep this as an out-of-the-box solution, but we recognize that this needs a little bit of customization. So if you decide to pick up something like All Orders Web, maybe you haven't been using it, we do include some level of customization with the system and the product. So if you picked it up and you said, it's okay, but I need to change the look and feel of it a little bit, that's something we're happy to help you with to a certain degree. So it's something we discuss with any of our users that are looking to get All Orders Web going. It can also run under any subdomain that you might have. You can see here we've got it running under allorders.net, but if you've got your company website.com and you want to run it under orders. Your website.com or wholesale or portal or whatever you might want to put it under, it is able to run under that. So it would be hosted on one of your servers. We would help you set it up, and then you could set up your DNS so that when somebody goes to the URL you provide them, it won't be something like a little IP address or a numbercruncher.com address. It actually will be a URL that you will own. Okay. All right, so right now in the All Orders Web interface, we're logged in as an administrator. So there's a couple areas here that we'll have that a customer wouldn't have if they logged in. Most specifically, the admin section. So the admin section is where you can control what logins you've created for All Orders Web. You can add new users and edit existing ones and update the company preferences. Those are by far the two main things that you'll want to do in the administrative area. So the sales area will typically be something that's also only going to be for either administrator or internal staff. So your staff or your sales reps could potentially have access to this. This area would allow you to view any sales orders that you have in the system. So here's a list of my sales orders, just like you load your sales order list in All Orders, or you can toggle that and you can look at the quotes. And each one of these are clickable, so that I can go into the actual interface and look at the order and potentially make edits to the order. Here we have our list of customers. So if I click on customers right here, I'll have my customer list. I can put anything I want inside of here. Let's type in Josh and do a search. So there's the customer in my customer list. And again, I can click on this customer if I want to view their information. It's kind of like the customer information screen that we have in All Orders, where you can see all the quotes and orders we have going for the customer. You can see any shipments or returns that we have for them. So there's some of the shipping documents for this customer. You can also see the shipments, the items that you've recently shipped to them. And they can also see any shipping addresses you have on file. If they have multiple shipping addresses, different stores or locations that you ship to. Now this particular screen where we're looking at the customer information, this is the type of thing that a customer will potentially have if they log into your All Orders web portal. So say you set up a login for one of your customers and they log in, this My Account tab will be available to them. Your internal staff can view the My Account tab for any customers that they want inside of their customer list. But if I'm a customer of yours and I log in, I can view the My Account for just myself. And then you can control a little bit about what types of orders and quotes they can see. Can they edit them or modify them? Can they open them? And so there's some user controls there, and we'll get into that in just a moment. We come back into the sales area. You can also create customers using All Orders Web. Pretty straightforward. You put in their email and their password, assuming that it's going to be a customer that's going to have access to All Orders Web, along with the other typical information like their name, their street. You can see here we've got a couple of custom fields that we've included here. So if you have custom fields set up for your customer, so we try to make sure that you've got all the entry that you would need to do in All Orders, but doing it through the online interface. If you wanted to create new quotes or orders, you'd be able to use the new quote link right over there to begin the process of adding a new quote into the system, and same idea for adding a new order into the system. You can see here where you can select the customer from the customer drop-down along with their shipping address over here on the right. We do allow for scanning or selecting items from the drop-down right over here, so either of those two options will allow you to add items to your quote or order. And we also have the additional information here that you can specify which location or warehouse is shipping from, the ship dates, the customer PO, the terms, things like that. A lot of that will, just like in All Orders, pre-fill in from the customer, but you're able to enter them in here. You can see at the bottom, again, we've got a lot of information you've got in All Orders, the memo, being able to assign a discount, a shipping method, and item sales tax if you're going to collect tax from that customer, and then being able to save the order. So a lot of those same pieces of information. So if I've got internal staff, and primarily this would be used by internal staff. So if I've got reps on the road or anybody from my sales team, maybe they're at a show or they're just working in an area where they don't have access to the local network, and logging into the Windows interface is going to be a bit of a chore, and they can work in here all right. It's a nice interface for them to have. Now this is actually optional for customers. You do have the ability to control whether a customer can create new orders for themselves in All Orders Web, and also an option to control whether or not they can edit orders. So let's say they put an order in, they want to go and make a change to it, you want to give your customers the ability to do that, they could potentially do that. And a lot of those controls are going to be found under the admin area here, where the administrator can come into the company preferences, and these are not the All Orders company preferences. These are all preferences that are only specific to All Orders Web. Okay, specific to All Orders Web. And each kind of expanding area in here controls a different area of All Orders Web. So the My Account preferences here would control what can the customer do in the My Account area. Can they edit their own account, change their own address? Are they able to see their credit limit or their balance they have on file with you? Should they be able to edit existing quotes? Information like that. What kind of transactions do you want them to see? So this gives you control over exactly what you want the customers to see in the My Account tab. And like I mentioned earlier, if there is something in here where you say, you know what, I really need a little more control over this particular area, but there's no setting for it, if you let us know, we'd be happy to add it for you. This one's going to be for the item list. Let's hop over to the item list first, and then we'll come in here and take a look at this. The quote and order view, this is where we just were a moment ago, where we were looking at putting a new quote or order into the system or viewing them. This is the area that you would be able to control that on, such as, do I want to show different drop downs within the screen for entry? Do I want to send a confirmation email as soon as it's placed? Do I want to BCC another email each time an order is placed? That's a very popular option. So as soon as customers are going and placing orders, an email that goes out will go to some of your internal staff, maybe to a group mailbox, etc. So there's lots of different options in here for controlling when and if a customer is looking at the quotes or orders. You can see over here we've also got custom fields, and each one of these allows you to control whether the customers see it. And whenever we say show user, that's talking about if it's an internal user that's part of your internal staff. So they'll have different visibility than the customer has. We also allow you to print or email documents, the forms that come out of All Orders. And so what happens is when you're set up with All Orders Web, you're able to control, and this is something you'll control within All Orders, which of your printouts are available in the web portal. So if you have custom quote forms or custom order forms that you've got set up, those can be assigned to All Orders Web as being available there, and then they can go out in the emails that are sent out. Your customers can print or email them to themselves, and so that becomes an option within All Orders Web. Same thing here with the ship doc and customer return view. If I go into My Account and I come under shipments and returns, your customer can potentially see any shipments or returns that they've done with you. This will not be something that they'll be able to edit. They'd only be able to view the shipping documents. Again, we've got the printing option here. We've got the emailing option, along with the different forms or templates that you make available in the web portal. And when we're looking at that shipping document and customer return preferences over here, that is the screen that it would be controlling what's visible, what's not visible, what printouts are the default printouts that the customer can use, things like that. Here in this setting is a couple of options for the customer list, but again, if we needed to expand on it, but that would really only be for internal users anyways. Only internal users would really be able to come into the sales area and look at the overall customer list. Now, if a customer logs in, the standard way that they would be taking a look at what you have in inventory and placing an order would be here, the item search page. Here they can search by the item name, description, or whatever other options you want to give them. We do have the option to control categories. So if I go into the admin area again, and I go to manage categories over here, I can set up any number of categories that I want, along with having a hierarchy. You can see here we can add items into the category. So if we click on one of our categories, we can add different items into the category or remove them from the category. And we also have the ability to assign categories to customers. And this is also, once you start setting up categories, it becomes very popular if you have particular customers that had a very particular item list that they order from you and you want to create categories. We do find that a lot of our users will literally create categories for the different customers that they have and then assign those categories to each customer. So they're literally controlling exactly which items each customer and the customer list sees. So once they set up a login for that customer, they log in, they don't even have access to their categories, they just have access to their own category. But depending on how you want to structure it, you can set up any number of categories and assign them to customers. If you do not assign customers to categories, then the customers will have access to all the categories. Back here in the item search, I can type in anything that I want in the search box. If I want, I can filter it by a category. We have some other options that you can filter by here, such as different types of manufacturers. I think if we go to the admin area and we go to the item search, the company preferences, and we go to the item list here, we have different options for what we're going to show in there. One of the ones that I think a lot of our users want control over is whether or not they want to show quantities. So whether or not you want your customer to be able to see whether you have inventory in stock for particular items. Sometimes we just want to show like whether it's in stock or not in stock, not necessarily show the exact quantities. So we have options there. And then we also have options to control if maybe we want items to only show from a particular group, things like that. Let's go ahead and do our search again. and let's pull up the item. We've got this quick add option right here, and that can be checked by default. And what that'll do is as soon as a customer does a search, if we only find one result, it will automatically add it to their cart. Otherwise, they'll have a list of items here. It'll have information such as the part number, the quantity in stock, the standard price, if they get a special price. Now, this does tie directly into the price levels that we have set up in all orders. So if you have special pricing for your customers in all orders, and when you begin to place an order or a quote for them, the system automatically understands the special pricing that customer gets, and as the line items are added, it prices them accordingly. When your customer logs in, that pricing will be reflected on here. So whatever price they see, if you show them the standard price, then they could also see your standard, maybe retail or MSRP or whatever you might want to call it. But the actual price that they would be putting it on into their cart for would be whatever price you have on file for them. You can then put in the quantity that you want to order, and then they click on Add to Cart. So slowly but surely, your customers can build out their cart and have a list of items that they want to put onto a new quote or order, and then over here they'd be able to either generate the quote or the order depending on your settings. You can force your users to put everything into quotes, or force them to only be able to place orders, or if you want to give them access to both, you can give them access to both, and they can create a quote, have you take a look at it if you want to, or print it out and share it with the rest of their staff internally, and then let you know when they want to place the order, or they could even come in later on and turn it into an order. So I'm going to go ahead and save the quote. Now I've got the quote right here in the system. Now as a customer, I can review the quote, take a look at it. I can print it out if I want to. I can email it to myself. And if you give the user the option to, they can even convert the quote into an order. You'll see the little button right here where they can convert it into an order. In addition to that, if the customer is given the option, there'll be a little edit icon here where they can actually go in. And this is the same screen where we were a moment ago, where as an administrator or an internal user, we were literally creating a new quote or order from scratch. You can give your customers the ability to go and edit orders or edit quotes if you want to. Once an order is locked up, let's say you're using approval and it's approved or it's been shipped, any type of situation where it becomes read-only, then they might not have the access to be able to do this. But if it's still an open quote or order and you give them those abilities, your customer can literally come in here, modify a quote, modify an order, and make any changes that they want to on the quote or order. After they're done, the cart will get emptied, and then they're ready to go and do the search that they want to begin to look for more items and place another order. And as soon as they place them, like we saw a moment ago, they'll show up under the My Accounts tab. The Contact Us tab will just have your company information. So if your customer or user just wants to review it, that'll be there. This report section is an area where you can load in ledger style reports. This is also an area that's only going to be available to administrators or internal users. So if you want to set up a place where you can have reports that are existing in all orders be available within the all orders web interface to be run, it's not going to have all the bells and whistles that it has in the all orders interface. It'll literally just generate a PDF printout for you to view or to print out from the order, from the report. I'm sorry. So you can't really change the filters or change the sorting or anything like that, or design the report. But if you set up any canned reports in all orders and you want to make them available on here where it's already pre-filtered, pre-sorted, and maybe you just want a web interface, maybe you have some management or executive where they're not going into all orders, but you want to give them some online dashboard where they can run those reports. It's another purpose that all orders web can serve for your internal staff. I'm going to hop back over just to the administrative section for another moment. So we covered a little bit about the preferences and we covered the categories. Over here is where you would set up the users that would be able to log into All Orders Web. If I go to View Users, I can see all the different users that I have. The username would be the email that they have on file that they would use to log in. The role/company would be, if they're an internal user, the role would be either a sales rep or a company user, or an admin. So you can see here we've got the admin right here. That's the web admin login. We've got a sales rep user right here. We've got a company user right here. So that's all going to be part of your internal staff of users. The company user is actually a login that gets tied to an internal user from All Orders. So if I hop into All Orders for a moment, let's go ahead and log in. If I go into my managed users right here, these would be users that could be set up as company users in All Orders Web. So let's say I took the Josh user right here. I could tie that to an All Orders Web login and say it's josh@numbercruncher.com, give it a password, and then if that user logs into All Orders Web, this is the All Orders user that all that activity would be getting filed under. Okay, so that would be the company user. Sales reps are not necessarily reps that are users that are in All Orders, but we do kind of consider them internal users. We wanted a way to differentiate them from the customer that logs in, but we did want a way to say that they're not necessarily set up as licensed All Orders users. There may be users who don't ever go in All Orders at all, and they're only using the web portal. So when you're creating new users, you can assign them to be sales reps, and they'll have a lot of the same capabilities as internal users have. So if they're not admins or company users or sales reps, then typically we'll put the company name here, and that'll be a login that you created for one of your customers. We can click the edit icon over here for any of these to change their password, or if we need to change the email that they have on file for their login. We can also set up new users here by using the Add Users link. So you can see here where we can assign a new company user. Then we're given a list of the All Orders users that we can pick from. If it's a sales rep, we would check the sales rep one. Then we have a list of the sales reps that are set up in All Orders that we could tie them to. Or we could set up a customer, and then we have the customer list right here. So we could set up a new login that would be tied to one of the customers from our customer list. Then we would just put in the email and the password, security question answer, and we would be able to create the new user, and then we could send them their username and password, their email and password we set up for them, and they can start logging into All Orders Web. We do always advise, if you start to set up new logins for your customers, go ahead and log out of the administrative login and log in as that customer, so you can get an idea of what is that customer going to see when they log in, what access are they going to have, what is their My Account going to look like, what items can they find, and what information related to the items. Can they look at quotes and orders and edit them? And that way, it's going to be much easier for you to tell what you need to come into the company preferences and tweak to get it to the point where it's actually showing and allowing the user access just to what you want them to be able to see. All right, so All Orders Web is going to be it's a lot more basic than some of the other webinars we've done, as it was really just kind of covering some of the screens that we have to offer. So at this point, we've pretty much covered all of it. We've got the option to search the item list. Internal users can search the customer, quote, and order list, and then your customers and internal users can create a cart to place an order or quote, or go into the My Accounts tab to see their customer information and be able to look up existing quotes, orders, and pretty much any of the history that they have going.
We have one question in the chat. Is it reciprocal? If you add or change something to the customer here, will it send it all to All Orders?
So the All Orders Web system is really just another interface into the same database. So the second that you make any changes in All Orders Web, it's instantaneous because the two systems share a database. This is a self-hosted web app, and our tech support would go in and help you set this up on one of your internal servers alongside where All Orders is installed, where the All Orders database is installed. So they're literally sharing data. This is not going to be hosted on some other server somewhere. And you even have access to all the source code. Right, so all the source code that makes up this All Orders Web, all those files, all those web files, will literally be hosted on one of your servers or machines. So if you wanted to get a developer to make any changes, or any changes that we make for you, would be updating the source code to those files on your server or machine where this is going to be hosted. So everything is completely shared. All the data is completely shared. So it is reciprocal.
And oh, you see the questions there?
Yeah, can you see? So David asked, can we see vendor purchase orders? So that's an interesting question. All all orders web itself, the product that we sell out of the box is really hyper focused on the sales side of things, right? Customers logging in, quotes, orders, reps, being able to search your item list. We do have the option to have limited purchasing visibility in here and being able to create purchase orders and limited production and work orders. If you're interested in something like that, you can follow up with me directly about what you're looking for. There's more support and setup involved in getting those up and running because we don't sell it as a standard kind of out of the box one the way we do the typical orders web interface. So you might have seen here, and certainly this copy of All Orders Web has had a little bit of customization done to it. Before the webinar, I actually hit a couple of things because they still need to be set up a little more. But you can see here for add user, we've got vendors. So if you want a vendor to be able to log in and create their own purchase orders, or if you want to give them access to look at your the item list, to be able to do a little VMI where they can kind of manage their own inventory and reorder for you. It is something we've set up a couple of people to do. So if you're interested in something like that, you can follow up with that, and it's certainly a discussion that we can have. Rodika asks if there is sales reps do not need any extra licenses. That's correct. It's one of the big things behind why we created the sales rep role. There's no limit on sales reps. So if you have users who they really are just focused on this type of thing, and they don't really need to be in All Orders for all the other functionality, we wanted to kind of find a compromise there. And really, that's what All Orders Web is all about. So when you're paying for the All Orders Web product, we didn't want to tie you down and have to create more licenses, for those users. So the sales rep role does not require any additional licensing. Yes, if you actually go to back to the login screen, there's a lost. Somebody asked if they have customers have a way of retrieving their passwords. So you could even just let them know that, hey, here's your email address we set up. Just go to the login page and click on forgot my password, and then they can reset the passwords themselves. Lenny asked, can we create customer passwords based on a custom field? Yeah, we could do something like that for you. Well, like I mentioned, everybody's got a couple of different needs when it comes to the web portal. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all. So if you have some unique needs, just let us know. He asked if you could create customer passwords based on custom fields. So, which I imagine the reason he's asking that is that you can easily come into your customer list here in All Orders and pop open a customer, and maybe have a custom field in here called, called password, where you could kind of control it very easily, and that would automatically change their All Orders Web password. Yeah, that's something we can do for you. Customers will see quantity available. Does that include in transit? Does that count as available? So the quantities that you see on the item search, right? So let's say we're searching. Let's just put in just anything in here, and we're seeing the available quantities over here. By default, they are going to come from your settings in All Orders that control the available quantity. So if in All Orders you have your available quantities set up to show in transit, so if you go to inventory and you've got the in transit showing up in your available, then your customers will be able to start placing orders for inventory you currently have listed as in transit. If you need the available quantity to work differently and you need it to be different than what All Orders is showing, we can certainly do that. It does pull from different data sources, so this isn't literally going to match what we have in the inventory list in All Orders. So if you needed to tweak that a little bit, you need some different rules for what quantities are we showing to customers, we can tweak those rules. Allison asks, that's a good one. Allison asks if customers can see assembly items even if they are not made yet. We actually do have a couple people set up with that. We call it the can make, right? So based on the stock of the components for an assembly today, as of today, how many of these could we build if we wanted to, and then we could show that as the available quantity. So even though you don't have any pre-built, you're just you're building to order, if you want to show customers that you've got that much available stock because it's how much you could make, we could do that. So if you've got stuff that's quick to build or whatever it might be, yeah, we have options for that one. Lenny asks, can we choose the warehouse that shows the available quantity? I believe we might. Let me see here. I'm not sure if we've got that one in there. No, I think right now it adds all the different ones up, but we can certainly tie, we can tie that up if we need to. So if you needed to limit it so that the item search, when we're showing those quantities, that it's only showing particular quantities, I think that shouldn't be a problem. All right, looks like that's all the questions for today. I want to thank everybody for attending, and we always appreciate
We've got one last minute one.
Is this interface any different on a mobile phone? I mean, it's so Allorder's web, certainly when it was designed and put together, it was not in the time of the current iPhones and everything like that. So does it show? Yeah, it's a website, so it loads on the iPhone and on the tablet just like any other website would. But it doesn't have a different specialized interface just for the phone. I know we do have that with Order Time, but we don't have that with Allorder's web. So what you see right here is what it would look like on your phone or tablet. And again, if you want, go to numbercruncher.com, head over to the Allorder's area. Right, I'm gonna show that to everybody one more time, just so everybody sees it. If you go to numbercruncher.com and you go to the All Orders area, so you do this on your phone or your tablet, you click on All Orders, and then you go to Features, where we open up that whole side navigation, find the All Orders web area, and click on Try It, and you'll be able to get right into the interface. So go ahead and do that on your phone, do that on your tablet. That way you can get an idea of what it's going to look like if you were to try it. And we offer a trial for All Orders Web. So if you've never set it up before, maybe you have a copy of it, but you've never really used it, or you've never even tried it before, you didn't really know what it was, and now you're seeing it for the first time. We offer a trial of it just like we do to all of our other applications. So we could set this up for you on a trial basis, free of charge. We could play around with it a little bit, make a couple tweaks, see if we can get it working for you the way you need it to. And then if you're happy with it, you come on board.
And right after this, I'll send out an email that includes the link to that trial and some more information about AOWeb.
Perfect. All right, and make sure everybody harasses Mike. Let him know for the next webinar what you would be interested in seeing. I know we talked about a bunch of different topics. We could get into emailing and options. We can get into, I know we talked about maybe reorder point recalculating, some of the production stuff. I'm not sure. I don't think we've done one yet. I think we did do one on the routing. We touched on that one. So let him know any topics that you're interested in, so we can kind of get a gauge of what everybody's looking to get webinars on. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.